morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folarin. I guess we're going to be continuing here today from where we left off yesterday. Oh, even before that, essentially, I imagine this program is going out to diaspora, essentially. That's because there's another program going on that we shall be carrying live. If you're hearing this now, okay, it's just a bit. We shall be going over to where the president is at. The president, there's a function, and TVC shall be covering it live. So in Nigeria, Nigerian viewers, that is what you should be seeing. But diaspora viewers, the whole world, we're together. And then when the repeat broadcast of the program does go out, then it will be across the platforms, both home and diaspora. But today, as I was saying, continuing from yesterday, the Sowore DSS, or is it the other way around, DSS Sowore arrest operation. That is something we talked about. And yesterday we had Sowore's lawyer, who was part of the whole event. And he registered his displeasure. The NBA has registered their displeasure. Quite a lot of folk have, registered their displeasure. Even Professor Issei Sage, normally an evergreen supporter of the PMB administration, has found himself left with no option but to condemn, using his words, or at least the words that were used in the press, about the story, condemn the DSS operation. It's not that the DSS doesn't have its own, shall I say, if not supporters, understanders, people who understand what went down. So what exactly did go down? We saw a lot of pictures. We heard a lot of allegations. You've seen the DSS statement. The DSS has said that we are a law-abiding organization. We're as law-abiding as the next guy, and that we would never do all the things that is now being written that we have done. This was at you've also seen the presidency statement penned by Garba Shehu. And so you now have a mix. People said to us, why don't you bring in a DSS officer so we can ask him questions? Well, as I said yesterday, in my experience, DSS directors, they're not the easiest of folk to get in front of the camera. In fact, I don't know that that anybody has done it. Not while he's serving, but nevertheless, they retire and then become like us, and then they are civilians. And one such friend is Mr. Dennis Amachreee, M-O-N. He's a security consultant, and he's a retired intelligence officer.
Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you very much for coming on.
Yes.
Now, I want to start from the beginning. The statement that Mr. Garba Shehu of the presidency put out was that the DSS don't necessarily have to ask for permission every single time in all cases, that they know what to do as granted or as outlined in the Constitution. He then added some comments. So let me start with that. Is the DSS an independent organization?
Okay. Before we go into that,
Sure.
I would like to clear something.
Okay.
And that is, I'm a retired SSS officer.
Okay.
And I am very, very apolitical.
Okay.
I'm very, very apolitical. I don't belong to any political group in this country. And, of course, when I see things happening, I get worried. I comment on security issues based on national security, and then we talk about it all the time, even me and you.
We've done that.
So, for this particular case, when it happened, I was very, very worried.
Okay. But did you want to start at whether or not the DSS, for example,
It's independent?
is independent?
Okay. Right now, we are trying to push something. Many people don't understand this, but they should know. If you look at the instrument that created the DSS, or the State Security Service, that's the name.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Where did DSS come from then?
No, DSS
Directorate.
is just an alias. It's an alias.
What?
And of course, when they say department, not directorate, Department of State Services.
Okay.
And I'm going to go into it right now.
Sure.
When it was created by the decree that created them, if you read that decree, you discover that towards the end it says that they are responsible for domestic intelligence and internal security, and at the end, any other directive that the president or head of state will so direct. That means that they are under the presidency. They are actually a department of the presidency. And that's where you get the Department of State Services. All right? So, independence, no. When some people will be...
Therefore,
no, let me...
it's not possible for this operation to have gone down without the presidency being aware it was going to go down.
No, it's not like that. I'll give you the proper situation. The president gives direction, just like the decree has said. Any other directive, the president will give a directive, and then they will go and do the operation. It does not micromanage them.
Okay.
Okay, it does not micromanage them, but you will give the direction, and then they will go and do what they have to do.
Within the law?
Oh, definitely. We are not lawless. We are a law enforcement
when you say
agency.
they do what they have to do,
they have to do what they have to do.
Within the law?
Of course,
Okay.
of course. We are not lawless. We are a law enforcement agency. We are a law enforcement. The police is the primary law enforcement agency. We support them. We're a security agency. So you find out that, you know, the signage there is very, very strong.
Okay.
Okay, so there is no talk about acting outside the law.
Okay.
But the important part that you have to understand is that the SSS goes ahead to make sure that the national interest of this country is protected. Okay? And then people will now start asking, what is the national interest?
Now,
Okay?
could I ask if you think, in the light of what you've shared with me this morning, that DSS Sowore arrest operation happened within the law?
Oh, definitely within the law. The law does not allow, because you have to understand about the three divisions of government. We have the executive, which the DSS is part of. You have the legislature, and then, of course, you have the judiciary. And the judiciary have their own law. And in that law, it says that no arms is allowed inside the court of justice, in the temple of justice. Even telephone, no cell phone is allowed in the temple of justice. Okay? And the SSS is very, very much aware of that.
Okay.
This is not the first time that the SSS had gone to arrest people at the court. But they will wait for you to come out. And when you come out, they arrest you.
But
for whatever reason.
We heard from a lawyer yesterday, Femi Falana SAS,
Yes.
that the DSS, by law, wasn't supposed to be in the court or within the precinct of the court.
That is his own law. That is on Falana's law. The law is that not inside the courtroom. Outside the courtroom, anything can happen. And there is nothing like Falana trying to say you cannot be within the precinct of the law. When they bring suspects
Of the court.
Of course, you've seen it before. Is it not right in the in the premises of the place that you see armed policemen or SSS bring the accused person into the courtroom, and then in fact the armed ones stay outside. The unarmed ones will take the suspect right into the box. We've seen it. It's a common practice. Everybody knows that.
Okay.
But to now rearrange this theatrics, whereby, you know, Sowore was going out, he saw the SSS people, apparently, like even Falana said, that he had some information.
Which he said he brought to the notice of the judge, who reassured him.
Very good. So
he reassured him that no, the DSS is...
Nobody is coming inside here to arrest anybody. You know, but that does not mean they cannot arrest him outside. So he now arranged this theatrics, this drama, where he saw the security people, he ran back inside with his supporters, and they were shouting, you cannot arrest Sowore, you cannot. And all of them brought out their cameras, their telephones, which is not allowed in there, and taking pictures. setting a the court was in session, and they disrupted that court. And number two, that's number one, he disrupted an ongoing session of the court. Number
That is
two,
the case that Justice Ojukwu was handling after his
after
case.
his own.
So he was
Yes.
supposed to have left and gone
He
home.
should have gone.
Gone home.
Yes.
That
but
the DSS people SSS people prevented him from going home.
they didn't prevent him. They were ready to arrest him outside. When he saw them, he ran back into the court. He ran back into the court.
But they were ready to arrest him, as you have just said, sir.
Yes.
Femi Falana said to us yesterday, without a warrant.
The SSS can arrest you without a warrant.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. You can arrest somebody.
And that's a citizen arrest. That's a citizen arrest.
That's the point. Arrest does not mean that you have to go and bring a warrant all the time.
But in a criminal matter like this,
don't worry.
Okay.
If he wants a warrant, the booklet of warrant will be given to him.
so that's not the problem.
Okay,
really.
that is not the issue. Okay?
Yeah, but the issue is following the law so that we're seen to be what the DSS has said is the case.
Yes, the law says that you can arrest without a warrant. It's not all cases.
Okay.
So that couldn't be a situation where you are now going to say, oh, you didn't bring a warrant, so, you know. If it was even in his house, you could even say that. But this was in a public place.
Yes, it was. It
Okay?
was.
We should be very clear. He's a lawyer. He knows it. You know, one thing about Falana, I'll give it to him. He's a smart lawyer, a learned silk, but he uses public opinion, you know, more than anything else. He goes and address the people, address press, and because he knows that the DSS is not going to come out and start challenging him or back and forth with him, he will go ahead and address the press and whatever he does. But he will keep the salient points away from the public.
No, actually, he spoke, you know, I don't know, he spoke maybe relatively, you know, professionally about the DSS. He told me, I don't know if that part of it went on air, that to be fair, the DSS has always accorded him respect. And that when he was fearful for Sowore's safety, and had insisted that Sowore would only be happy and allow Sowore to go back with the DSS if it was in his car. And the DSS, according to him, said, okay, no problem with that. However, not your driver. An intelligence officer can drive.
Thank God.
He said he got there and that the DSS was actually appreciative. That is whoever was the big man over there.
I am happy that sometimes he will say all the truth, and sometimes he keeps some part of the truth away. Because I'll give you an example. I met him right in this TVC studio. We were on the news together being interviewed, when he was saying that the DSS has refused to release El Zazaki because the courts have said that he should be released or whatever, you know. And I asked him, I said, why are you blaming the DSS? Tell me as his lawyer, what did the judge say? The judge said that he should be committed to prison custody. It was El Zazaki who preferred and chose to be in SSS custody, where he was being taken care of, and by a minister who said that, in fact, they were spending about 3 million to feed him every month. You remember?
Yeah, I remember that.
Very comfortable. 3 million. That I will not go to my house. Okay? But this was what happened. And I asked him, I said, why don't you tell Nigerians that this is what your client opted for?
Okay.
And he couldn't reply me.
Okay. Now you've explained that in circumstances, the DSS can actually arrest you without a warrant in circumstances.
Of course.
Did they share with you why Sowore was arrested? Because everybody is saying, I don't know. Why was he arrested? So apart from the no warrant matter, why was he arrested is another question that's being brought up. Less than 24 hours after he had been released on bail by a court. So the DSS did that to be seen to be complying and immediately turn around, as it were, and arrest him again, so we're back at status quo. Why did they arrest them? Did they share that with you?
Well, I didn't get all the facts about the new arrests. But one thing I know is that...
Because it looked like thwarting the order of the judge.
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily, because the judge has said that he should be released because of the bail. Now, the bail has conditions. And if the suspect is already flouting that bail condition, they could rearrest him and take him back to court and tell the judge, we've arrested this guy and this is why we're going to want to keep him. And then his lawyers will now apply for another bail, which, if granted, will take him away from that place.
Okay.
Number one, immediately he was released, he went to Hilton Hotel and was making a press statement. He was not supposed to address the press, any kind of press.
Was it a press statement, or, as one
He
report
was
I read,
addressing the
a bunch
press.
of colleagues? A bunch of colleagues.
It was on the social media.
Okay.
And you remember, he is a pressman. He is the owner of a social media newspaper. You know, and it was carried. All that he said is there. And how, you know, the revolution will continue and all those kind of stuff. Number two, his wife has already been gingered up to be talking to senators in the United States and even asking that she wants her husband back home for Christmas. Now his passport has been taken. And his passport is not with him.
The DSS has confiscated his passport?
The court confiscated his passport.
The court? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
The court did. And what is the guarantee that he is going to remain in this country?
He doesn't have a passport. He can't go anywhere.
He can't go anywhere. Have you ever heard of Nadeko route? You are laughing.
Okay. Okay. Now, why, Dennis?
His lawyer knows the Nadeko route very well. His lawyer, his Falana.
Maybe I'd
knows.
better not comment on that. But I wanted
so he can advise his client.
Why then, in the light of all you've explained to me in this conversation, would the DSS be apologizing? They've apologized for their behavior. It's on record. Mr. Falana explained how he and the counsel of the other side, of Sowore side, were both summoned before the judge. The judge, had, shown them her stern eye, and the guy was apologizing. The SSS operative was apologizing, and she ordered him to go remove his men, and he complied. I'm paraphrasing Mr. Falana now, and he complied.
That means his men were still in the court when they were seeing the judge. So she told him to go and remove your men, and he came out and removed them, right? And the cameramen still don't see these ghost SSS people. Let me tell you the truth. Liman, SAN, is still alive. Ask him. In fact, anybody, the press people...
That's the lawyer for the prosecution.
Yes. I expected this investigative journalist should be doing things. He's not swallowing it or adding emotion to this problem. Liman and Falana were invited to the chambers of the judge because she couldn't understand what was going on. Said, what is going on? What is the cause of this commotion? And, of course, they explained that there was this commotion going on. And then she said, please, go and remove, go and settle this thing. Put all your people outside this courtroom because I'm on another case. There was no SSS man that was called to come and apologize. Nobody did. And that was a manufactured story, by the client's lawyer. Now, Liman is still alive. They can go and... The lady, the judge, her lordship is still around. And, of course, they can go and interview her. I don't know whether judges are not interviewed, you cannot talk, but...
I think judges and the intelligence officers have the same strictures.
Well, besides the restrictions, somebody who can talk like Liman is there, they should go and ask him what happened. There was nothing like that. And, of course, he banked on it, and he was hammering on it. And then yesterday evening, he brought up another one again, that a high-powered SSS delegation went to the High Court.
You're talking about Mr. Falana?
Yes.
Okay.
They went to the High Court to give an unreserved apology. Now, all that, and in this particular case, he was not even there. He does not know what actually happened. As a law-abiding agency, the SSS is not going to just keep quiet. If I know that they didn't go and see that judge, besides all that is going on and all the stories that the client's lawyer is giving out, I think they should go and see the judge and explain certain things.
Okay.
And they went. They went and explained exactly what happened. And then, of course, it is even suggested that there should be CCTV cameras in the courtroom. That way, whatever is happening will be recorded.
One moment, please. Hello, Mr. Ladi in Lekki, Lagos. Good morning.
Good morning, Uncle Lori.
Oh, is that a lady? Is that a man?
Yes.
It's a lady.
I think it's a lady. Good morning. Please continue.
Good morning.
Please continue.
Uncle Lori, when we see something that is wrong, we should say that it's wrong. You see, we all saw the video that was on the air that day.
Yeah.
We saw those DSS at the entrance of the court.
Yeah.
And your guest is telling us that they are right, but so doing. Remember, there are lots of
there's a picture on
things
there now.
going on in this country.
Yeah.
And we should be very careful when we say we have separation of power. The way we exercise our power in this country, we should watch out. And we should know what we are doing. For me, whether this thing is state bad or whatever they are saying, we still see them in the court there, and it's in the courtroom, and it is wrong. And we should not allow this type of a thing to happen. We should all join voices together as a nation to condemn whatever is not good. Anybody coming to sit down and say, I'm not a political party, I'm not this and that, is their opinion, they are entitled to it. But to the best of my knowledge, we are all politicians in this country. And that's what we are seeing. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ladi, for calling in as well. Interesting point she makes, that all of us are politically inclined one way or the other, no matter what we say.
Yes.
Yes.
Human beings are political animals. But one thing is that I still look at that.
Those pictures that you
Except
saw. That was in the court.
Yeah,
and unless you are going to say that those were Sowore supporters holding him down.
Look at all of them. Look at them.
These are not DSS people.
What I am looking for, let me tell you what I was looking for. I was looking for a gun. Because they said armed security people. People. I don't see them. Maybe she saw them. I know that there were armed security SS guys at the gate. Now, when we swallow this picture and then everybody now believes it because that is what has been pushed out and everybody is looking. I have looked and looked and looked. Except you don't want to see it or you have cancelled the emotion out in your mind and say that, oh, yeah, they are lying or they are political or not political. That is not the issue. If you look at the gate, you will see those with arms. If you look inside, you are not going to see any of the uniformed people with arms.
Okay. So what you seem to be implying, Mr. Amachreee, is that this story has largely been cooked up, distorted, and embellished even for public consumption, because that was the line of the DSS in its written public statement. I think that was on Saturday or so in one of the newspapers.
I told you when I started this thing, I told you that it's a high drama. It's a theatrics, that people have just been fed with. No, people should try and think about this. The SSS is not a political party. They don't belong to any political party. They are for national security, the security of me and you. So what do they have to gain by going to attack a particular person or kill a particular person?
Could the SSS refuse an illegitimate order?
You see, this is what I was even trying to explain to you before we went away.
1 second, please. I'm
Yes.
going to come back to it because I don't want to lose Collins in Abuja, and I'm going to come
Please
back
go ahead.
to whether the SSS or any other security intelligence agency is allowed to refuse, as they say in the military, an illegitimate order. I'll come back to that point.
Okay.
But good morning, Mr. Collins in Abuja.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Yori.
Thank you
and
for-
good morning to
Mr. Amachreee.
Mr. Amachreee. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
There is something I want to say here. Mr. Amachreee, on one radio station or TV station, I listened to you. You said that the order of the court that he should be brought the next day, that his bail ceases, on the next adjournment, that his lawyer should apply again. That was what you said on one of the appearances you made.
That's correct.
That is, and now from your account now, if you carefully did not reiterate what you said the other day. That is number one. Two, again, something I want us to be doing in this country. Don't support the wrong thing because it's working for you. At a time, that wrong thing will work for you. Look at all Joseph Carlos example. See, I am not for Sowore or any person. DSS, I am not against them doing their job. You see, but let us do it, oddly, going to court, and from every account, DSS invaded the courtroom. I am not trying to pass judgment here. You cannot, for anything, defend what you are defending, Mr. Amachreee. It's quite unfortunate. I have a lot of respect for you. But what I hear you say this morning, I am not happy. Honestly, I wish you make amends. Let us be very factual. Let us say the truth.
All right then. Collins, thank you very much. You've had your say. You are not happy at all with Mr. Amachree's presentation.
Yes.
Enough. Thank you very much.
What he said is correct. Because yesterday I was on Silverbird and they asked that same question. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer, but anytime I make any kind of statement, I also follow up on finding out whether what I said was true. I even called lawyer friends of mine and said, tell me, the bail that was given, was it a blanket bail that he has to use until the case is disposed of?
Okay.
And a friend of mine, a lawyer, told me that it is not a blanket bail because if during that bail period he commits another thing, the bail does not cover him.
Okay.
So they can arrest him and then his lawyer can come and reapply, make a fresh application.
Okay, for the bail.
Okay? So if he misunderstood me, I still stand on what I said.
Okay.
At
this stage, and I know my question is outstanding as to this military concept of a uniform person actually can disobey an illegitimate order. Proving that it's illegitimate might be a heck of a job, but I've heard this in stories. We'll come and talk about that later. In the meantime, we've got to rush off on a break. Stay with us, please. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. My guest is still Mr. Dennis Amachree, MON, security consultant. And we've been talking about, as you know by now, that operation, the DSS Sowore, the arrest operation. And it has, caused a lot of comments. And I mentioned at the top that even Professor Ise Sage, who you can consider an evergreen supporter of this administration, it's thought that there was no option but for the gentleman to condemn the exercise, the whole operation. But Mr. Dennis Amachree, who I hasten to say is not necessarily speaking for the DSS, he's a retired officer, but he knows the community well. And as you might have heard, he's able to even interact with them. So very little goes on that even as a retired intelligence officer, he doesn't know about. And we've been talking about that. And we started by, first of all, asking whether or not DSS is independent of the presidency. And then, just before we went, I wanted to know this whole matter about what do they obey willy-nilly any order, no matter the quality? In other words, that theory of mine that a uniformed person is at liberty to disobey a bad order.
At your detriment.
Whoever has that kind of book sense, it will be to his detriment.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So,
the military or the armed forces are set up to train their people to be loyal and obedience to command. You cannot, because you see your commander will say shoot, you shoot, and then you cannot stop there and say, oh, we cannot shoot there because there is this and that. So that is how they are trained.
And that's how it works.
That's how it works. So
great responsibility is placed on whoever is the commander.
Exactly.
Because it's whatever he does or says that the team does.
Yes, because that's why you find out that if there's any problem, the commander answers. It is his responsibility. He will answer for it.
And he usually has the order from above.
I don't like that phrase, order from above.
Okay.
I mentioned it earlier to you here. Like in the case of the SSS, there is this directive that is given. And when you have the directive, you now go ahead and follow your operational procedures in satisfying that directive, okay? So it is not a matter of order from above. Junior officers will always use that because maybe they are not very familiar with what the orders are. Okay.
Let me bring in Mr. Adu, who has come on since you started speaking. He's in Jos, Plateau State. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. The name is Mr. Ago, not Mr. Abdul.
Okay, Abu.
Abu? A-B-U?
Mr. Ago, Mr. A-G-W-O.
Oh, A-D-W-O. We got it right. I got it wrong in my pronunciation. Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir, and guests in the studio.
Mr. Amachree.
Thank you very much. We've had your discussion, very interesting and educative. But as an average Nigerian who is so patriotic, on the basis of justice, at least there is need for we to tell ourselves the truth. And as far as I am concerned, what has happened between the DSS, Sowore, and the court has spelled out completely our inability to subject it to the principles of the rule of law as far as Nigeria is concerned. The law is made for man, not man for the law. And if by virtue of what has taken place, every person is given respect and is valued according to his functions in accordance to the stipulated rules and regulations guiding every profession and the ethics applied for this country, I don't think we shall be facing this injustice and other things that is happening around. We no longer believe in interpreting the law in this country. We believe in ambiguous interpretation of the law by applying technicalities just because of political interest, because of economic interest, because of tribalism, nepotism, which has taken over every system in this country. So I am of the opinion, and I am advising Nigerians, that we should leave a legacy that stand the test of time for the younger generation and the younger ones that are on ground to inherit good precedents, so that we will move ahead as a country, not as we are retrogressing, calling all sorts of technicalities, bringing issues that will not help the country.
Okay,
I
then.
hope you understand, sir.
Thank you. Indeed, I do. Thank you very much, Mr. Adwo. Appreciate your call.
I am with him 100%.
Okay.
And the reason I'm with him, we have to define our institutions in this country, And of course, earlier we were talking about how these organizations, whether they're independent or not. They are not. The SSS is a department of the presidency. The police, works for the presidency. So you find out that they are not independent like other countries.
What you said is a bit troubling to me.
Yes.
That the police works for the presidency.
Yes.
I would have thought the presidency, the police works for Nigeria.
Yeah, that's how it should be.
The police works for every citizen in Nigeria.
Let me explain this.
Okay.
The police was formed by the British. The Hausa Constabulary was formed in Lagos here to protect the colonial masters who were here in Lagos, in Ikoyi. You know the Ikoyi Gate. That Ikoyi Gate, there are just traces of it now. But in those days, in the evening, they lock it. All the workers go out, and then they lock it, and then all the Oyibo people remain there. And the Hausa Constabulary are going to take care of those people. And then, of course, from there, we later got the army and etc., that came out from it. Now, when we got independence, the police itself now had new masters, politicians, Nigerian politicians. And instead of making it a Nigerian police service to service the country, we have a Nigerian police force. They still maintain the name of force to protect now, this time, the Nigerian ruling class. And that's how it has been till today. You know how many Mopol people are assigned to even local government?
Even though we've criticized that.
Local government chairmen.
Yes, you have police people guarding them.
They believe that their job is to guard them. If there is a kidnap case and it is involving a high-ranking or political person, they will go all out to get the person. If there's a murder case, they will go all out to investigate. But if it is a common person, you don't see anything. And of course, when you go to the SSS itself, the SSS was created to also serve the executive. What we are now saying is that they should amend the constitution, and the SSS itself, the police, should be under they should be allegiant to the Constitution of Nigeria. Not the president, not any politician.
So that's the origin of, I see. Thank you very much for
do you
that.
get it now?
Yeah, because it does
So
give me
that the SSS itself, in America, the FBI, which is the equivalent, is under the allegiance to the Constitution of the United States. That's why if the president does anything, they will arrest him.
Yeah.
It will not happen in Nigeria because you cannot arrest your boss. So, if they are independent, they can now
apart from doing the military coup days.
This
whole matter about not being able to arrest your boss.
That was even when they were formed. And of course, in those days, they were formed to do. Right now, what is in the books will also tell you that it's more of regime protection. And that's why the national security strategy that was just launched recently, I was very happy with it because it is trying to shift the paradigm from state security to keep the state to human security. where the human beings are going to be secured.
Okay, so for the time being, that is in the present day, maybe that's why with what you've just explained, the DSS is taking the alleged call for a revolution as inimical to the commander-in-chief.
Of course, when you do a revolution, what are you doing? You are trying to topple the government. And this is not a mouth saying. Because even in the United States, a revolution...
Mr. Yakub, I'll be with you. In fact, can I just go to Mr. Yakub and come
go
back?
to him. We'll come back to that.
Thank you very much for holding on, Mr. Yakub. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Tijari. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you very much. Tijari, you are not doing us good yesterday. Why? Because you brought on Mr. Falana to this studio yesterday. I was expecting you to allow us to talk to him. That's number one. Number two,
I managed to just grab Falana, by the skin of the teeth. And he was saying that he couldn't give us more than 5 minutes. I said, I'll take it. But as you remember, we got about 15 minutes out of him.
Tijari, we do respect him. He knows that he cannot give you more than that 5 or 15 minutes. I think you could have not done that interview because this is a very serious issue. And that is a very serious matter. Nigeria, God Almighty will bless you. Because this is only a station that gives us opportunity to expressing our feelings. I wish that you brought on Falana and then Mr. Amachreee. Yesterday, brought both of them together. So that because if you could remember, Mr. Just said something yesterday that he wished DSS come and disclose all what Mr. Falana said. But you said that DSS will have not brought any interview to anybody. But I will say that, let me quote Sowore. On the 25th July 2019, when this protest wants to go on, he wants to make this protest, he says, and then I quote, he says, I'm not talking of protest. I'm embarking on revolution. Don't tell me about legal implication or what judge will say. I don't care. Underline that statement. So now we are not in a banana republic. Watch that video very well, Tijori. I could have not found out where any DSS officer pinned Sowore down. Look at what Mr. Amachree says. You go ahead, we have finished your case. We have said that we are doing the case. Go ahead. And then the DSS wait for you at the gate. And then you saw DSS, you run back to the court. And then you disrupt another case. And then they come out and telling us that DSS pinned it down. Tijori, I watch that video, I rewatch it every time. I could have not point out one DSS officer. And then yesterday, you have Mr. Falana yesterday that, okay, what is the DSS? And then he said that he knows them, but he don't want to mention their name. Let me say another thing Mr. Falana said one time ago. He attended, Mr. Falana attended this Yeni Kutile's father's symposium. And then he said, Mahalu was taking appointments from the federal government. And then forgetting that it is another Mahalu, and then was saying it publicly. And then come out, it is a lie that time. So, see, let me tell you this. Sowore or no Sowore, Nigeria is bigger than any one of us. You could have not called for a revolution. I'll be asking people, what is the meaning of revolution? They should give me the meaning. But if you want to bend in the meaning, you will give me another meaning. But the meaning is that you want to take the government of the day, the government that people protest for, a legitimate government. You say that revolution, not protest. You are embarked on revolution. If the revolution happens, the question is this: where is the family of Sowore? Are they in Nigeria? They were not in Nigeria. All of them in the US. So if you begin to kill ourselves, you will quickly run back to America and then you'll be laughing at us. We are not in a banana republic. DSS should be able to keep him, take him to court, and then they should be following it legally. And then let's know where he belongs to. And then the civil society organization that say that they give the federal government 14 days ultimatum to release Sowore. Why are they not give the federal government 14 days ultimatum to release all those legal detention in Akaba, in Korea, everywhere? Awaiting a trial. They were not giving federal government 14 days of those ones. And then they were telling us they're giving the federal government 14 days ultimatum on Sasaki, 14 days ultimatum on Dautuki. What are they telling us? civil society organizations, some of them they are just working for their pockets. We are not a fool. We know what we want, and then we have a legitimate government, and then we need to support this government. If they go wrong, we that we support them, we'll come out and tell them that they are wrong. Thank you, God bless you.
Thank you very much for calling in, Yakub.
Can I read you something?
Please.
Describing this revolution thing.
Okay.
Okay?
But the matter is in court.
No, this is what is the penalty or punishment for calling for a revolution in the United States. That United States that we copy all the time. It says, whoever knowingly or willfully advocates, abets, advises, or teaches the duty, necessity, desirability, or propriety of overthrowing or destroying the government of the United States or the government of any territory, district, or possession thereof of the government of any political subdivision therein, by force or violence, or by the assassination of any officer of any such government, or whoever with intent, thinking about it, to cause the overthrow or destruction of any such government, prints or publishes, edits, issues, circulates, sells, distributes, or publicly displays any written or printed matter advocating, advising, or teaching the duty, necessity, desirability, or propriety of overthrowing or destroying any government in the United States by force or violence or attempts to do so, or whoever organizes or helps to attempt to organize any society, groups, or assemble of persons who teach, advocate, or encourage the overthrow or destruction of any such government by force or violence, or becomes or is a member of or affiliate with any such society, group, or assembly of persons, knowing the purpose thereof, shall be okay. Let me just cut that and come back to the last. As used in this section, the terms organizes or organize with respect to any society, group, or assembly of persons include the recruiting of new members, the forming of new units, and the regrouping of expansion or existing clubs, classes, or other units, or such society, groups, or assembly of persons will be guilty of this crime. So you see,
very, and you skipped some.
Yeah,
you
I do.
skipped,
No,
you
the
skipped
law
some.
is,
So
somebody can
that's
go,
in America.
It's an 18 U.S. Code 2385.
Okay.
Advocating for the overthrow of government. Now, I'll tell you something. This guy said he wants to cause a revolution. You cannot do that because Hillary Clinton lost an election. She didn't call for revolution because she doesn't like what Trump is doing. Everybody does not like what Trump is doing. But democratically, they are trying to impeach him right now. Sowore ran for election. Many people are forgetting the real case. Because right now, when you look at it, everybody is talking about his human rights and stuff like that. He ran for election. He lost. If he wants to change the government, go back to the ballot box.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. George. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and good morning to Mr. Amachreee.
Good morning.
Uncle Yori, I'm happy that Mr. Amachreee has corroborated some of the things I told you yesterday. Because the picture that the media is painting is just to whip up sentiment. That's not exactly what happened. And you can hear his own side of the story now. I'm very sure that as a former senior official of SSS, he must have gotten some input from the SSS side of the story before coming to the public. So the truth of the matter is that Mr. Amachreee has just also said it. This man is being used by those who lost the last election to venge against the government of the day. And it is not allowed in law. You didn't win at the polls. You didn't win at the court. Now you want to disorganize the society just because you cannot have it.
But, Mr. George, you have to accept that that is conjecture. That's your opinion.
It's not conjecture.
But it is not yet a fact. That's why they're in court. That's why they're in court.
No, he himself, did he go to court?
You know, we all have what they call intuition to perceive what the truth of a matter is.
Yeah, but it's not the same as fact. The fact is yet to be determined.
I do not need a judge to tell me that what I said is correct, because I have my own intuition to know what is true and what is not true. The truth of the matter is what we see on ground. If I am wrong, say so, Uncle Yori. What we are seeing on ground is protest with hidden agenda. People want to overthrow the government. People want to cause, disorderliness in the society just because they cannot have it. And Sowore holds an American passport. Can he do that in the U.S.? If he runs for an election in the U.S., he doesn't win, then he will go to the streets and call for a revolution. Can he do that in the U.S.? And somebody from the U.S. who calls himself a lawmaker will come to Nigeria and be talking just because we are a colony of Britain one time. We have our independence and we must be able to do things in our own way. We shouldn't be a puppet to any other country. Uncle Yori, I used to hear a lot of senior journalists who come to your station on different platforms there to whip up this same sentiment just because Sowore is also a person of the pen. There should be responsibility in every profession. What I mean by this is that if somebody is a journalist like you, if he has done wrong, you should have you should be able to tell him that it is wrong, not because he's just in the same profession with you. So whatever he does is right. I am not saying that the DSS cannot do anything wrong, but as far as this case is concerned, Uncle Yori, Sowore crossed the red line, and there are consequences for crossing the red line.
Thank you very much, Mr. George. Completely run out of time, but delighted that you could make that call in. Well, as I said, there are probably as many people who see it from the yay as from the nay point of view. But information is what it's all about. And I want to thank you very much, Mr. Dennis Amachree, for giving us perspective, showing us how the intelligence service might be looking at this matter, giving us a lot of insights into how the whole thing works. We didn't quite get to exhaust, because it's a very long topic, the matter of the independence or otherwise of the
in
security
summary,
service.
I've already mentioned
that they are not independent.
No, they are not. They are not now.
But there's no such thing as an illegal order in Nigeria here.
No, there's nothing like that.
It's just the last order.
Everywhere. Not only in Nigeria.
All right.
If an American officer gives you an order, you better follow it. If you don't follow it, you'll be shot.
Well, court martial now, first.
No, in the field, he will shoot you first.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Dennis Amachree.
Thank you very much.
Member of the
for the
Order of
opportunity.
Nigeria,
Yes.
security consultant. That's our program today. And, for this segment at least, having heard it from the defense of Mr. Sowore, and also now trying to get something of an insight into the other side of, and that includes the prosecution, we've heard it from the it's important to not say heard it from the DSS, but I did put it in perspective of Mr. Amachree being a retired intelligence officer. He's giving us his experience of how these things work. And he said that he also made calls, and as George Inekeja also said, he no doubt would have touched base there before coming here. That's our program today. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folani. Bye-bye for now.